All right, we're going to react to Matt Denny going 74.04, the second longest distance thrower in the history of the world. Matt Denny, Olympic bronze medalist. And I love the fact that he's been at Ramona for the last 2 years. So we got some really good data on him. I also think he's one of those throwers that has posted arguably some of the most on social media. So he's really helped a lot of people get better, improve. And so we're going to look at different positions from him, what he does, how you guys can learn from this technique. And if we think Matt can break the world record ultimately, which I'm not going to spoil my thoughts on that yet. Okay, so let's go. Let's watch this full speed, and then let's check out Matt Denny and his technique. And we're going to watch from this angle here, and then we're going to come back and we're going to actually watch from another angle as well. So here he is. The crazy part here is that this is Matt's, like, I want to say his third or fourth furthest throw, and I could be completely wrong on that, but when 74.04 is your like third to fourth best throw ever, I mean, it pretty much shows you what we're looking at here. Now, with Matt, look at that pickup point there. I always like looking with his movement. He's always got this level left arm. You know, he comes right here. I think that's an easy takeaway. I think here too, we can see this pickup point, right? He's got that aggressive wind. Okay, he's got that aggressive wind, pretty similar to stall actually, where the discus is pretty high. And this is something, again, I mentioned some stuff like this with the Lawrence Okoye video. And if Dr. Christoph Kipp, one thing I find interesting here is, and there's not much around this, is like, is this free energy? Is this some type of free energy here? Because the discus is high, it drops as this left side opens. And that could, like, I'd want to see, does that help Matt here get a little bit quicker on his entry? Just something I've been thinking about. And so if we think about him here, entry right here, okay, so with Matt's technique, he holds a nice level position here. His weight sort of shifts to like maybe middle of his foot to pinky side of his foot. Left arm is still completely under control as that right side starts to come around here. Okay, his left hip is there. Right knee is probably directly over top of that left foot. Now, something to pay attention to, I believe, is how level he is as he comes out, as he comes into the entry position. Okay, so if we think about this is preparation when you're coming out of the wind. This is the entry right here. Now Matt at this point is in the transition where he's in the air for a brief period, and then, or no, that's flight time, sorry, flight time, and then he gets the transition right here. So if we go back right here, okay, he stays level as that right comes around, and then right as he's about to come off, you can see just slightly, and we're going to see this in the next visual, you can see that left side just drops slightly, and this alters the torso angle, okay? And then we can see off of flight time when that grounds, okay, now we're seeing Matt's left almost passing his right, okay? So left's moving there, knees here, and we'll be able to see the depth on the knees from the next angle. What I've always liked to point out with throwers and Matt's technique is that high point right there, his range of motion. I've also felt with Matty, he's got incredible mobility through the shoulders for how absurdly strong I think he is. I think he's snatched over 150 or power snatched over 150. He's done pin squats with like 800 pounds or something insane. I could be exaggerating a little bit, but I know he's got that crazy strength, which enables him to a point to be super patient in this position. I really like that left arm right here. And now this is where he grounds with his left foot. So his left foot's there. You can see that discus up on the top side there, just behind, you know, just up here. So he's catching that insanely deep. And when you're watching him, also just great facial expression, like I'm ready to murder this. Um, as he starts to open, and this comes down, right? And as he opens, then he transitions forward. So it's like he opens and then shifts. I think it's really, really clear if we go back. Let's go right here with Matt. It's very clear, in my opinion, that he's back over that right, and as the knee comes through, now he's shifting into that left. And this is the position that I think, honestly, I would argue every elite thrower, I think Denny does it probably the best. And I also am thinking right now, we're privileged with, I literally just thought about this, is, you got Alekna, who's a world record holder. You got Stahl, who's an Olympic champ. Stona, Olympic champ. You got Stahl, who's a multiple-time world champ. You got Denny, who's second distance-wise, but also has medals. He's got consistency. He's got insane distances. Diamond League titles. 2 Diamond League titles. 2 huge throws, actually. I would make the argument between him, Alekna, and Stahl, I think they are the top 3 best ever. I think Matt is probably, if you argued, second maybe behind Daniel currently. Maybe. It's just one of those things. It's like a good coffee shop argument. Now, this is something that I've always found interesting here, is like this holding position that he has as everything starts to square up. Okay, you can really start to see everything right through the right foot. He's still on the left right here. Okay, and you can just see as he's starting to really shift through how patient he is. Okay, and then we can get through here, and he just transfers. Like, this is the position that I think it's so insanely hard to teach, to coach, and to be confident in without fouling. And that's because he catches so well over that right side in the middle. It's pretty cool. You can still see the discus there. And then he just shifts so well, perfectly forward. You can see based off that reverse, and smacks the throw. So this is the side angle, and then now I'm going to shift. We're going to switch to the back angle to see a little bit deeper, and then we're going to talk about if what we think about Matt breaking the world record. Okay, so now we're back to the back of the circle, so we get a little bit different perspective on one of the greatest throwers of all time, arguably the top 3 greatest discus throwers ever. And I also want to point out, because you can see this more clearly, I believe he now is doing something better, which is scary, than ever before, is how well he gets around this left and really gets out here, which sort of shows up with his placement of his right foot. And I think that's why he's been throwing so well all season this year, is like, he's just getting freaking dialed in. Other thing I wanted to bring up, his baby is like, at this point, I want to say his daughter is like 3 months old or something. And for him, and what people don't recognize is, like, dude's got a 3-month-old daughter. So he comes out with a 3-month-old daughter, throws 74 meters, and is on fire. And I think that's not an easy feat. Anybody who's having a child, and you could say, well, he might be traveling more. Well, guess what also sucks is when you're away from your kid. So kudos to Denny here. Great sweep leg. Comes off the left right here. You can start to see, and you can see where that left arm is that we talked about earlier. And then he sort of does that real unique drop down, almost similar to Virgilius Alekna dropping here, while this gets elevated from the torso change, then everything just sits. Look at the height here, and he just sits stacked. Just completely stacked. Like, this is insane. Okay, right? Boom. Okay, right over top of that right side. Okay, so we can take this, and then now, let's go slow here. Let's say his right is down probably pretty close to here. Or his left, sorry, his left. And then we're sitting through on this point. And then we can really see here, if you remember from that side angle, how long he holds that position at this point and how well he holds that as he squares up. And then we can see here how well the discus is still in his hand right there. The whole hip has really rotated forward, and then he just absolutely transfers everything basically perfectly through. So my big takeaway from Matt's movement here, as let's watch it in slow-mo, is comes out of that high wind, and I've always wondered if the high wind, if high winders, someone like Stahl or Denny, if that creates a little more energy or speed as they get to the entry right here. I've always wondered that. Then he gets off his left in a level torso position and immediately lowers the left arm, has incredible mobility through the right shoulder, holds over top of his right side right here, grounds in an incredible, like very, very deep position. Great movement there. We mentioned that with the knees stay relatively close here as they're getting closer to the front. And then he takes that and just stays over top of the right and then transfers forward. I think Matt is, if you look at his technique, Matty's technique compared to these other guys, I think he's probably got the best the best at the top, but also I think it's replicable. I think kids can do, maybe not the wind, maybe not that little torso lean, but I think they can learn a lot from his rhythm, a lot from his timing, a lot from his speed, and his ability to just compete. I say this, that's the whole thing, is this is a dude who's notoriously one of the best competitors. And so when I'm watching him throw here, right, boom. He's someone that I look at that if he could get back to Ramona, I think if he would go back to Ramona this year, 2026, I think he could break the world record. I also think he flies one of the best discs ever. So that's Matt Denny. I believe he could break the world record. I believe that he could become a world champion and Olympic champion. And it's exciting. He's entering into the absolute best part of his career here. Has a child and is still balancing everything well. If you guys need help, head over to throwsuniversity.com. Hope you learned a lot from this technical analysis. Until next time, peace.